Hello, hello! Today, brush care. I've got so many munted brushes. I'm going to tell you how to look after them so that you don't end up with munted brushes like me. Hello, I am Silka. Sorry, my hay fever's a bit ippy today. I am Silka, Heart for Art. I teach people step by step how to paint online and in my studio. Welcome to this week's episode of Hearty Tips with Silka. Like I said, I'm going to be sharing some tips on brush care today and how to keep your brushes in good condition so that you can extend the life of your brushes. And I'm also going to be talking about some common mistakes to avoid that will ruin your brushes really quickly. And I'm going to share some super easy ways that you can actually fix your already ruined brushes. I've got loads of those. And because brushes can be expensive. They don't have to be, but if you bought any expensive ones or even just don't want to waste them, I'm going to teach you some great tips on how to care for your brushes so that you can extend their life. Now, if you've got brushes that are getting a bit tatty, maybe the bristles are a bit, where's the camera? Maybe the bristles are a bit splayed and sticky outy frayed ones like that, or maybe they're a bit stiff, like that. Or maybe they're just bent and all over the place like that. If you want to know how to clean them properly, avoid common mistakes to ruin them, drying, storing properly, I'm going to give you loads of tips to help you make your brushes last longer today. Who's throwing brushes away? If you're watching this on live or replay, let me know if you've ever thrown brushes away because you've thought, nah, they're beyond help. I have. I know. I used to do that quite a lot, but I've learned loads of tips now, and that's what I want to share with you today. Now, why I'm sharing this, like I said, I've thrown brushes away, and I know now that you don't actually have to. And I see a lot of mistakes in the studio all the time as well. People painting with me, just some really common ones, and it's not. I'm not angry at them. It's just that they don't know. But yeah, and because I've got loads of bunted brushes, so. Let me start by just explaining the basics of a brush. All right, so this is the handle, clearly. These are your bristles, okay? This is the ferrule of the brush here. This bit that holds all the bristles in is known as the ferrule of the brush, and this bit is the crimp. All right, that's the crimp of the brush there, okay? So that's your basics of your brush, okay? Now, how to wash your small brushes. Your small brushes are the same. They just have a smaller ferrule. This is the ferrule here. This is your bristles and your handle, and the crimp is a bit higher up on some of them just to hold it on. So cleaning your smaller brushes, essentially a quick swizzle ought to do it. Just a quick little swizzle like that should do it quite nicely. If you have even like your flat brushes, for example, you can dab them. You can do a quick swizzle as well. Gosh, this one's quite stiff. That needs a clean too. What you want to do is you can swizzle these, but what you want to do is just dab them on the bottom of your jar like that, but on a diagonal. All right. What you don't want to do is jab them. Hang on, I'm going to do that with my hand out of the way. Jab them straight down. If you go straight down, all right, what it's going to do is force your bristles apart. It's going to splay all the bristles apart, and that will ruin your brush really, really quickly. They won't get a nice clean finish. Your bristles won't be nice and tight together. So when you're cleaning these brushes, just dab them on an angle on the side rather than straight down. And same goes for your bigger brushes. You can be quite rough with these. I mean, not like totally rough, but give them a good dab like that, and then flip your brush over and do the other side as well, and that forces the paint out a little bit. You do it enough times and that will clean your bigger brushes, but don't mash them down straight down, okay, because that will wreck your bristles. It'll splay them all apart, and then you'll end up with a brush like this one with lots of little sticky outy bits on the side. All right. So once you've done that with your brushes, you want to make sure you dry your brushes as well. Where's my paint rag? It's usually behind me. There it is. I've got heaps of paint rags, but any paper towel, make sure you dry them. I usually give them a bit of a squeeze as well. So, you know, just squeeze the towel onto them and that sucks up a little bit more of it, and then pull most of the paint off, the water off rather. Now while you're painting, what I do as best practice is that I leave my brushes that I'm not using at that particular moment, you know, between colors, I leave them in the water. All right. Now the reason I do that is because even if you give them a quick swizzle, if you're not paying attention, because you can get really lost in your painting really quickly, if even there's a little bit of paint residue on your brush and you don't use it for a half an hour or so, that paint residue will dry on your brush, and then you'll have a nice stiff brush later on when it's dry, and that's much harder to get out. So I usually have a best practice, I just leave them in the water while I'm painting, and then clean them afterwards. Do not leave them overnight. All right, it's okay for a short time if you're just painting for an hour or three. Do not leave them overnight, because what happens then is all the water gets into the wood and the wood swells up, and of course that stretches the ferrule. I'll show you on the bigger brush. It doesn't happen so much on the bigger brushes, but the smaller brushes, the wood swells up and it forces the ferrule open a bit, and all the water gets in there, and it just, the bristles fall out. It's not good. But it also makes your paint brushes get a bend on them like that. Can you see that one? That one got left overnight, and it's got a nice bend on it where it was sitting on the bottom of the jar. So don't do that either. So that's, you know, I'm already starting on the things to avoid. I've just shown you quickly how to wash your brushes, but things to avoid is not mashing your brushes. So I showed you before, when you're cleaning, don't mash your brushes on the bottom. That is especially true for your smaller, more delicate brushes. If you mash, you can see as I'm doing that, it's splaying all the bristles, it's forcing them all apart, it's bending them into all sorts of odd shapes. I'm just doing this gently, but some people I sit in the studio and they mash away, and that is the best way to ruin your brushes really quickly. Who's a masher? Who's mashed before? Say hi, whoever's there. I used to be a masher, but I don't anymore. But yeah, don't mash your brushes, not while you're cleaning them or while you're painting. Now some of the paintings I teach, you dab the end of your brush to get like clouds or tops of waves or something, you know, a bit of froth on the wave, but you don't have to do that very hard. You just lightly tap your brush. If you're pushing too hard, again, that will have the same effect as if you're cleaning them. So first thing to avoid is don't mash your brushes while you're cleaning them or while you're painting them. And I already mentioned not leaving your brushes in water for too long, because it swells the wood and the ferrule, and it also cracks the wood. And then you end up, where's my paint rag gone now? There. Then you end up with, see, this one has been left too long overnight, and all the wood has cracked on the side and peeled apart, and when that happens down here, all the bristles fall out, and then you're just painting with a stick. Not cool. But also imagine if you leave it like this all night, it actually bends the bristles, and then you in the morning you know you have a brush that's got curved bristles on it. Not cool. So don't leave your brushes in too long, definitely not overnight. Okay, now I've made that mistake before. Obviously I wash my brushes in bulk. So if I've had 20 people in the studio or something and I'm tired and it's been a late night, I'm tempted to leave them overnight and do them in the morning, but I made that mistake and I had a whole nice container of bent brushes in the morning. Another thing to avoid, drying your brushes upside down. All right, once they're dry, it's okay to store them like this. All right, but don't be tempted to wash your brush and then store it, you know, dry it like that, because what happens is the water that's in that brush is then going to drain down into this bit, and it's the same effect as in leaving them in water overnight. All the water goes in here, the wood swells, the ferrule gets forced apart, and your bristles fall out, and you're painting with a stick again. Who's painted with a stick? Who wants to paint? You can paint with a stick. Sometimes you turn the brush over and use that bit to get some nice effects, but you want bristles in your brush. So don't dry them upside down. Always dry them flat. All right? I mean, if you want to hang them, even better, but dry them flat, and then the water will not go up into the ferrule. All right, so getting on to the good bit now, how to save your brushes. If you've got, see this, okay, this one's probably beyond repair because I left it overnight and there was heaps of paint on it and I've mashed it as well. So this is like worst case scenario, may not be savable. But if you've got brushes just like this one, I didn't rinse it properly and then I left it to dry, so it's a little bit stiff. It's got a little bit of paint residue on the end as well. Some bent ones, and then you've got the ones with your splayed. Can you see that all right? With your splayed, see how the some of the bristles are sticking out to the side, a bit like me on a windy day, hair everywhere. And speaking of hair, that was a nice little segue there. Your brushes need a good condition every now and then, okay? So what you want to do is clean them with soap or a conditioner. You can use conditioner as well, and that will save the majority of brushes. Some of them are beyond saving, like this one, but other brushes are... Hang on, I'm thinking that I'm not getting your comments again. I can hear them coming through on my phone. Yes, okay, all right. If I'm not answering you, it's because, again, my comments are not coming through. Facebook's having issues again. So apologies that I'm not replying. I can't see your comments. I'm definitely switching streamers soon. But anyway, the lesson is still valid, all right? So just wave or give me a hi with a thumbs up or something. Yes, so really bad brushes and new brushes as well. If you've got brand new brushes, do I have any? I use them all the time. If you've got brand new brushes, they often come with a bit of a protective coating on them, so they will be a bit stiff anyway. That's just to protect them while they're in a box waiting on a shelf for someone to come and love them and paint with them. But they because of that protective coating, you want to give them a clean, some of them, but they also will molt. Especially your bristle brushes, they will molt. Brand new brushes always molt, as in while you're painting, bristles come out and go onto your canvas, which is really annoying. If that happens, you just sort of do a reverse scoop and pick the bristle up again. It's not a huge drama. But yes, I always wash my new brushes when I get them before I paint with them. All right. So the best way to do that, I mean, you can do it just in your jar. I better not leave that one overnight, eh? That would be bad. You can do it just in a jar. Whoops, I just turned my light off. It's a bit sensitive, that one. But the best way to do it is actually with... Okay, my light's just died. Hold on. Technical issues today. Is that it? There we go. You can see me better again now. The best way to do it is with a bit of lukewarm water, all right, and a little bit of soap, just normal soap. Or you can actually use, like I said, the segue before, to conditioner. You can use hair conditioner. If it works on your hair, most brushes are animal hair of some sort. Even the synthetic brushes, they're still kind of hair-like. Give them a condition, you know, same as your hair. If you don't wash it for ages, it gets a bit stiff and yuck. Give it a condition. Give your brushes a condition. So you can use your own hair conditioner. You can use a little bit of soap, or if you've got lots of brushes that you really want to save, there is this thing called Incredible Brush Cleaner. All right, and it's kind of designed specifically for cleaning, you know, brushes that have had a bit of wear and tear on them. It, you know, removes any build-up and dried paint, even years old. You leave it in long enough, and that will save the ones that you can't save with a little bit of a condition. All right. Now, when you're washing your brushes, what I usually have a big, this is my paint washing brush. After a paint party, I will usually go and pour myself a glass of wine and just fill my container with a little bit of water, deep enough so that I can get my hand underneath it, underneath the brush, and then I just do little circles, nice gentle little circles like that for the little brushes, and slightly, you know, I can do the dabbing on a diagonal in my container here, and that's just in lukewarm water with a little bit of soap. Sometimes I even just use dishwashing liquid, because that I'm in the kitchen where I'm cleaning them, and I'll just give it a pump of dishwashing liquid. and lukewarm water, and mix me up a little soapy froth, and I'm good to go. So yeah, if you're trying to rescue brushes, give your brushes a little bit of a massage. Your bigger brushes, just massage the same way that when you wash your hair, you sort of rub it in a little bit. So you want to just sort of massage the soap into the bristles, and loosen up that leftover residue of paint or whatever, and just give them a good massage. And the same with those little brushes. Where's one gone? That's what you're doing with those little circles, is you're just massaging the conditioner in there, or the soap, or whatever you're using. And for the new brushes, because they molt, you want to just give the tips of your brushes a gentle pull with your fingers, just to get any loose ones out. Then they won't end up on your canvas later. And then of course dry with your rag and dry flat once you're done. That giving your brushes a good condition will often get the bristles all nicely compact again, so they get nice clean tips on your brushes. For more munted brushes, just after I've told you not to use hot water, a trick I learnt recently, well, about a year or 3 ago, is to actually boil your brushes. I'm saying this just after I told you not to use hot water on your brushes. You're actually just doing the tip of the brush. So what you want to do is just get a pot of hot water, put about a centimetre of water in the bottom, bring it to a boil, and then just the tip of the brush. All right, remember I explained the ferrule? So you want to get it just up to the tip of the ferrule and hold that in the boiling water for about 10 to 15 seconds. All right, not too long. And then take it out, give it a good dry, and lay them flat, and let them dry flat, and that will save brushes. Bent brushes, if you've got bent brushes, it will bring form back into them. If you've got brushes with real paint residue on them, or brushes that they've just gone stiff because they've got the residue in them, honestly it works for most brushes. I mean, if they're beyond help and they've just got totally dried paint on them, like some of mine, it may not work. But just a centimetre water in a pot, not a pot that you're overly fussed about, to be fair, because you might get paint residue in them, and then just dip the brush up to the ferrule for 10 seconds, 10 to 15 seconds. All right, don't dip it any further, because that will actually melt the glue. There is a little bit of glue in there. They're crimped together, but there is a little bit of glue in brushes as well. If you dip it in too much, the heat will melt the glue, and then you'll just be painting with a stick again, because your bristles will fall out. But yeah, it's really good for bent brushes, for brushes with dried paint on them, for brushes that have all their bristles splayed out in different directions. You can actually condition them back again with that, with your conditioner, and then boil them in water for 10 minutes. And another thing that I do as well, sometimes there's bits of, where was one? There was one here. This one here is just, I've cleaned the brush and I didn't notice that there was just a little bit of paint left on the other side. You see that? There's a little bit of paint there. I give my brushes a trim. If you got split ends, you cut them out, right? I literally give my brushes a trim. If the whole bristle is munted, you can just sort of separate out the ones that are no good, that many, and cut the whole bristle off. I won't do it now because I can't see properly. Or sometimes you just have to take a bit of the top off. You just literally just trim a little off the top, as long as you're trimming it and still in a straight, neat line. If it's just a few bristles, just separate them out, chop them off. Or even if you've got a few stray bristles, every now and then you'll get one that just won't cooperate. Trim it off. Trim it off like a tree branch that's growing in the wrong direction. Give it a prune. And you will have brushes in great condition. Again, I've got brushes everywhere now. So yeah, any of that helpful? I hope so. Let me know if you've had an aha moment, if any of that was like, oh, good idea, or just let me know which tip you like the best. So I hope that's been helpful. If you've been throwing away brushes, I was for years, and then over the years I just learned a few tips and tricks. So it's been a really long time since I've thrown a brush away. Most of them are savable if you look after them. I mean, the first tip is to look after them properly and not wreck them in the first place. But if you have accidentally, then give them a jolly good condition. If they're really bad and you've got enough of them, grab some of this paint cleaner. And you can always trim them down. So let me just sum up. What did I cover today? I explained the parts of a brush to you. The handle, the ferrule, and the crimp. That's the ferrule, the whole thing, and the crimp. And I needed to do that to tell you about the whole boiling later. But just how to wash your brushes, just nice gentle swizzles, and don't mash your bristles. Just be gentle with them, dab lightly on a diagonal like that, and then flip your brush over and do the other side. And while you're painting, leave your brushes in water so that any paint residue doesn't dry out while you're using another brush. But don't leave them overnight. Do not leave them overnight, because then the wood has time to swell and bristles fall out and you're painting with a stick again. And always dry your brushes. Give them a dab with a paint rag to get a lot of the water out, and dry them horizontal. Always dry them flat. Never dry them upside down, because the water will drain into your brush and ruin it as well. It swells the wood, swells the brush, and all your bristles fall out and you're painting with a stick again. That's because it's got no bristles. That's all it is. You're painting with a stick. So yes, what was I saying? Summing up, don't mash your brushes, don't leave them in water too long, definitely not overnight. Don't dry them upside down, always dry them flat. And that will make your brushes just last heaps longer. If you have got some that haven't lasted, a good way to clean them and condition them is to actually use conditioner. Quick clean with conditioner, soap, massage some in, same way you do with your hair. Rinse it all out, give it a good rinse out, and then they're good to go. Lukewarm water when you're doing that, not hot water. All right, not hot water when you're doing a proper clean, because it will melt the glue in your brush and your bristles will fall out and you're painting with a stick again. And if you've got some really badly damaged ones, bent ones, stiff ones, splayed bristles, dip them in boiling water. All right, a little bit of water in a pan, dip in up to the ferrule, don't go up above that, and hold just the bristles in the water for 10 to 15 seconds. Some brushes, if they're really bad, you need to repeat, but don't just hold them there for a minute, because that gives the glue time to melt, you see. Dip them in 10-15 seconds, let them cool off, and then do it again. Yes, so that is me all summed up, and hopefully that's been helpful for you. If you've been throwing brushes away because you've been wrecking them, I'm really hoping that my tips today will help you avoid doing that again, will help you extend the life of your brushes, will help you look after them so they last a lot longer, and if you have wrecked any already, we'll give you lots of good tips on how to save them. Remember, there's lots of other helpful tips. This is one episode of my Hearty Tips with Silka, which will be on my website soon, but there's loads of other stuff there as well if you need any help with painting tips, buying brushes and canvases and shading, blending, whatever. Go and have a look on my blog, Hearty Tips with Silka. It's heartforart.co.nz. So yeah, thanks for watching. I hope that's helped. Let me know what your favourite tip was. And if you'd like a painting to practice on once you've cleaned your brushes, be sure to go and check out my upcoming virtual and studio paint parties, where I give you step-by-step guidance to paint a whole painting, or go and grab one of my on-demand painting tutorials. I've just put Kiwi Starry Night there, so you can paint that one whenever you like. Loads of fun, easy ones to, have fun learning to paint. So yeah, pop over to my website if you want any more help with painting tips. There's loads of free tutorials and painting tips there for you, and I hope you've had some great help saving your brushes. Hope these tips have helped. Till next time, happy painting and happy brush cleaning. Bye.